And so I said, what if we could grow this extra money over the course of the next 12 years until your kids are of college
Yep.
age and maybe compensate for college? And here's the way that the model looked. When we looked at the model, they had this big increase in consumption during those college years. But what if we reposition that cash flow, grow it at a respectable rate of return,
Mm-hmm.
and pay for college with what we did with our house? Then our model, we don't have to have that increase in consumption, and therefore they end up with balance between what they're consuming and they're saving, because they create an efficiency by using a better debt vehicle and repositioning cash flow to take care of something that they would have otherwise had to come out of savings for or redirect.
Yep. This is Betterwealth with Caleb Williams. Welcome back to another episode from the Frontlines. In today's Smith Family Edition, we are talking about how people came in. We showed them how to model their college. We showed them how they could retire one of their spouses within 5 years. And we also showed them how they can be more confident and address certain things like, should you pay off your house early? Should you not? There's actually math behind it. And so with that, Jereme, welcome to another episode from the Frontlines. I'm excited about this one because I get fired up because we talk about efficiency, we talk about unlocking intentionality, and by this person, this family coming to us and going through this process, we like dramatically change their life. And I don't want to take all the credit, but it's like, this is fun to see, and I hope people see how excited we get as it relates to helping people be more efficient and really optimize what they're currently doing.
I have a big goofy grin on my face because just before we started, I saw how excited you were when we were kind of talking through this. So let me set the stage. This amazing couple came to us, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, of course. They came to us and they're like, hey, I have a goal of bringing mom home from work in 4 years. And I was like, okay. And started looking at the model. And what I found was that they had already crafted an income where they were only living off of one and basically
impressive.
saving in some way, shape, or form that second income.
Yep.
So first and foremost, this couple was really, really disciplined and really, really clear on what it is that they wanted to do. The thing that they couldn't quite grab is, was it going to work?
Yes, which is a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's like they're being super disciplined right now. They're saving just under 50% of their salary, assuming that Mr. Smith doesn't save anything of his, which he probably does. Do they have any debt?
No.
Okay, so they don't have any debt. Their investments are pretty.
A lot of market-based investments.
Okay.
They're because of their employment, they're W-2s, so they have access to different retirement accounts, and they've taken advantage of those, and they've done relatively well with them for the most part. So they're accumulating at a decent rate.
Okay.
So let me take a step back, so the goal was bring mom home. We want to pay for college for our kids, but we don't know if it's going to work.
Yeah.
So the first thing we do is we take accountability of the data that we know today. And in doing so, we discovered that they have a total income from 2 streams of $230,000. So this is a really nice income.
Yep.
Okay. And that allows them to craft it. So like Caleb said, they're saving almost all of it, or I'm sorry, almost half of it. Another big ticket item here, as we've already said, is they do not have debt.
Yep.
They don't have drag on their household economy. Therefore, their cash flow can be optimized going to grow somewhere, anywhere, right? Not the tool is not as important as that it is being saved for the long haul at this point. So then we look and we say, okay, what has been saved thus far? So we've got a little over 900 grand that has been saved in various ways. Now, let me also say that this is a couple that is in their late 30s, early 40s. And so they've got some work history. They've got some things going on. I will also say that the tools that they are using are more along the lines of accumulation tools. Yep. They don't have a lot of really solid distribution tools for retirement income planning. And what's amazing is that Mr. Smith and Mrs. Smith are very interested in understanding the efficiencies of those things. Numbers mean a lot to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, so we just use numbers to tell the story.
It's cool.
And what's great is that their numbers tell an amazing story, and we were able to take what's on their model, make it more efficient by just repositioning it, and create balance.
That's cool.
So I'll describe that here when we get into real estate. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith are like, hey, we've got a really beautiful home. We only owe X amount of dollars on it, and our goal is to pay that off in the next 5 years. That way we can bring mom home and everybody's good, right?
I love
Pay
when
off
people.
the house.
I love when people are like, "I'm a numbers person," all this stuff, and then their goal is to pay off their house. Love that, because
Perfect.
it's like, okay,
Yeah.
let's show you the numbers.
And so the numbers on this are, well, you've got about $130,000 outstanding on the house. I have a current interest rate from when I bought the house of 3.63%, which again is not bad. But my monthly principal and interest is nearly $2,400. Wow. What if in today's low interest rate environment we were able to refinance that for let's just call it 2.5%? Okay. Well, that puts our monthly payment somewhere around $525. That's a ridiculous amount of difference in cash flow. Now, notice what I'm saying here. I make one shift, right? And I recapture cash flow. Now, what do I do with that cash flow? Okay. So the way that I want to articulate this is we've talked about certain goals: bring mom home, send the kids to college, continue to live our current lifestyle that we have because we love it all the way out through age 100. Easy. Right?
The hats off, because they got really clear on what they wanted. And so just to also say what you're saying is they're doing their thing. They're knocking off debt. They have quite a bit of equity in their house. Their current payment is, over $2,000, and then you're bringing that down just by a refi. It's very reasonable, easily could be done in their situation. You're freeing up over $1,500.
I think it's like $1,875.
Okay. A month,
right?
That's incredible. Okay. I'm tracking. This is why I get so excited.
I know. So remember, goal is to pay off the house. But the reason that the goal is to pay off the house is to bring mom home from work.
Yeah.
Well, we also have another elephant in the room called college.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And this was very important to them. And so I said, what if we could grow this extra money over the course of the next 12 years until your kids are of college age, and maybe compensate for college? And here's the way that the model looked. When we looked at the model, they had this big increase in consumption during those college years. But what if we reposition that cash flow, grow it at a respectable rate of return, and pay for college with what we did with our house? Then our model, we don't have to have that increase in consumption, and therefore they end up with balance between what they're consuming and their saving, because they create an efficiency by using a better debt vehicle and repositioning cash flow to take care of something that they would have otherwise had to come out of savings for or redirect.
That makes sense. So
and the
money's got to come from somewhere, and so they're making decisions now that are going to impact how they pay for college.
Right. And I gained 5 years of growth on that money.
Yep.
Because remember, it was going to take them 5 years to pay off the house. So what if I repositioned $2,400? So here's the way to apples to apples with numbers. Look at it. Am I better off taking $1,875 and growing it for the next 12 years, or am I better off paying off my house and then growing that $2,400 for a smaller period of time? The math always tells the story.
And what interest rate assumption did they want to bet their future financial success on?
So we have 6% in.
Okay. So 6%, some people might say, oh yeah, I don't think that's wise. I think it's going to be lower. I think there's some people, probably including this person, that 6% feels very reasonable.
I think 6% feels low. And the story that we can tell here with numbers is, let me see all of your accounts. Let's put in the real rate of return for each one of those accounts, and let me do a weighted average over all of those, and then we'll see if we're accurate.
Yeah. So Dave Ramsey, if you're listening to this, if you can send us all your accounts, we can actually tell you the actual rate of return, and it might be more than 12%, but we'll see. So yes, it's always interesting. We take what you say, and we will always model. At the end of the day, it's your model. But the cool thing is, when you actually break down, you can get a model rate of return, which is so cool, because that you can see what's actually going on, and then make better decisions from there.
That's right. Because once you have accountability of what's really going on, then you can be more intentional about making choices that get you the result that you're after. Again, nothing is neither bad or good necessarily. It's is it getting me the result that I'm after?
So I'm looking at their model right now, and if they came to just a typical financial planner, boom, you're looking great. Like you're making money. I don't know how they would implement, the next 4 years working, but whatever. But when you add college, you see their model, and the 2-line graph is really made up of your consumption. This is the money that's like, this is the lifestyle that you chose to live, right?
That's right.
And then the red line just represents what you're currently doing, and shows if there's going to be a gap in the future. And we see, as of right now, without very much strategy at this point, we see college being a pretty big factor. You can see that consumption goes up pretty dramatically, and as a result, where does their model become unbalanced?
So in doing what they're currently doing and accounting for college as a life event,
Yep.
okay, they're out of balance in their early 90s.
Okay.
Meaning that in order to keep up with their current consumption, right, they're out of balance. Now, remember also that we are factoring for inflation. So their current $120,000 lifestyle at 90 years old takes $510,000. Some of you are hearing this for the first time and you're going, wait a second, you're telling me that a $10,000 a month lifestyle is going to take 510 that many years from now? That at 3% inflation, that's what we're saying.
We're not saying that's going to happen. That's what our models are saying, and we can change the models if you have certain convictions.
If you prefer 6% or inflation, or 10, we can make that happen. Or 0.
And if you're watching this and you're near retirement, there's no magic bullet here. Sometimes we have to model what a decrease of consumption looks like with a very little inflation. Like, that's not necessarily our end goal. That's not something that gets us jazzed, but it's important to make sure that people, like, there's not this massive gap sometime in the future. And we don't want to be sticking our head in the sand and just not knowing.
Well, and let me also say this, like G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle.
Yep.
You may want to make that decision. You may say, you know what, I would rather digest a $100,000 dip in my lifestyle at 75 than a $25,000 dip in my lifestyle right now, because I want to send my kids to where they're going to school. I want to live in the house that I'm living in. I do not want to get rid of the boat because I enjoy surfing.
Yep.
Whatever it is, realize that you can be more intentional in your choices if you understand the implications of the math long term.
Yep.
And then you can decide what you want to decide.
Yep.
I feel no pressure about it.
So what is the end goal? What is the takeaway here as of where we stand?
The takeaway from this particular case study, again, is consumption and savings, right? That's the ratio. This family has so many capabilities to do the things that they want to do because they have they're managing their consumption and savings. The next stage is, am I efficient in the things that I'm doing? And do I realize all the implications of the math the way it is? And do I know how it could be changed or tweaked in order to maybe get a better result for what it is that I want to do?
And I already see efficiencies. Like, one of the things is we can go through all their assets and not give them advice, just go take them to the asset analyzer and say, does this asset help you get the outcome, i.e. that you've already articulated, does that get you closer or farther? And, that can also be, that can open their eyes. And then what you even said, this is not even assuming special optimization for income. Like, this is just basic. But then the next question is, how can we be more efficient, reposition assets to optimize what you currently want?
That's right.
And so from here, like, from the initial meeting to have their money last all the way to 91 is remarkable.
Yep.
And we've only gotten started.
That's right. And remembering that we're talking about a long period of time. It's very difficult for humans to think about 18 to 24 months from now. We're looking on out a long ways from now.
Yep.
So realize too that the operating environment, that's my military language coming out, but realize that your operating environment is going to change. Tax law may change. Tax advantages may change. There may not be any. Okay. There's lots of different factors that are going to cause this model to change over the course of time. But because I don't have a crystal ball, and neither do you, unless if you do, let us know. But because we don't have those crystal balls, we just do the best we can with the information that we have.
The reason why we do this information, the reason why we have this YouTube channel, the reason why we have Betterwealth coaches and models is we are obsessed with helping people unlock what it looks like to live intentionally. And that looks different for each person, but that is the metric that matters. And then everything else that you do with your time, your money, your abilities need to back up what that intentional living looks like. And so, Jereme, thank you for another case study. The way that I would summarize this is, wife gets to retire in the next 5 years. Their kids have college funded, and there's a lot of strategies yet to come, but they're doing remarkable because they understand consumption and savings. Their money's working for them, and they're also seeking help and coaching, which is going to take them to the next level. And so thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for continuing to share this message. If there's anything that we can do on behalf of our whole Betterwealth team, please let us know. And with that, go out and live intentionally. Thank you so much for listening to the Betterwealth podcast. It would mean the world to me if you could hit subscribe, leave a review, and share this with the people that you know and love.